In Internet Land, it's Brian here with Manabeast doing the weekly Wednesday meta breakdown, and this week we're going to talk about DBZ because, well, there's been a lot going on in the last, couple weeks. Set 6 has been released, and I had a bunch of people who were like, hey, I like this whole, talking about the meta and stuff, so you should do that again. And I'm bored over lunch, and I would like to, entertain myself while I'm eating my warmed up microwave burrito. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to, help you in your weekly burrito eating. I don't know if that makes sense, but, just like roll with it, okay? So anyway, you guys are live with us. So if you want to comment, just tappy in the little area to the side and chat with us, so we can talk to you and interact with you about the meta. So, and of course, if you got any questions, again, just type in there and interact with us because we like to do that. We like to have conversations with you people. So, you know what? Since I'm kind of hosting this thing, I'll just kick it off with a few of my thoughts and what's been going on lately. So, like the big thing that's been going on here in the meta has been the change from set 6, what was previously set 5. And yeah, there's been a lot of changes that have gone on. Let's see here. I've got somebody who's asking the question is. There we go. See, look at this. I'm helping people out. Just go to the YouTube page. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I've got actually some special people that are watching today, and I want to make sure they're watching because it's kind of important to me. So you're gonna see the camera shake a little bit. So my apologies. Let's see here. Boom. Uh oh. Got it. Okay, he's got it. All right. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Totes sorry about all that. I gotta set things up here. So, yeah. And everybody can hear me fine and see me. Hold on. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit cockeyed. A little bit. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Hold on. Watch this. Can I do one of these numbers like this? Can I do this? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Like I'm gonna adjust this here, like live. Mind this. Technical difficulties never happen. A little more straight. Yeah. Okay. So let's start over just a little bit. Everybody's actually, kind of joining in here. So let's just start in a bit, and we can kind of reset everything and have ourselves a discussion here. And I don't. Okay, sweet. Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Tom from Manabeast. He's got my back. You got that posted on the page. I appreciate it, man. Anyway, I appreciate all of you tuning in. We've got a few, I know we got one special guest that's going to be on here, and an even specialer guest, actually, who's watching a certain savvy angel who's watching the broadcast, who is completely not a Dragon Ball Z fan, not a card gaming fan, and is watching anyway. So I just want to let you know, I, completely and absolutely appreciate you watching. So, just letting you know. So, what we were talking about earlier, meta and how it has changed from what was previously set 5 and now into set 6 with all the regionals going on. So, of course, as I'm yammering on and blabbing, you just, put in your opinion. Audio, picture, both great. Yeah. We actually have lights here. Okay, hold on. Let me just. I'm gonna hold on. I'll take this up here. I'll flip it around. Yeah, we've actually got our lights set up and everything. So we're trying to, get it. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do, man. So anyway, talking about the meta. Let's get right into it. What we've seen in the regionals lately, since set 6 has come out, has been, of course, the new MPs. We see a lot of Android 13. We see a lot of Broly, not as much cooler. And I'm going to just call it right now, in my opinion, the best new MP and who I think will have the greatest impact on the meta is Android 13. Now, of course, if you disagree with me, let me know in the comments, because again, we're live. We want to interact with you. We want to talk with you and communicate via this wonderful thing called the internet. I have just seen it do so well in a multitude of situations. I think that Android 13 right now is the GNU of set 6. What previously set 1 through even 3, GNU was the top MP. He was the MP with allies. And what really makes Android 13 great is on every level, he has an attack that's on hit. And number one, I think that's the key part about him. On hit abilities put so much pressure on your opponents. Yeah, John, exactly. Black DBZ 13. And that's the other thing about him too that makes him like GNU is he can be put in pretty much any color. We've seen him in black. We've seen him in red, enraged, and ruthless. We've seen him in blue tag team has been another big one I've seen a lot. I haven't really seen him in orange necessarily, but who knows? It could work. I really haven't theory crafted anything out, but the fact that he can utilize all of the colors and all of their key cards insanely well speaks a lot to him as an MP. But going back to the fact that he has on-hit abilities on every level, I think that is what separates him from a lot of the other MPs. And the on-hit effects are so strong. Level 1, get out any Android ally. You're on level 1. Everybody knows. Most of the time you're going to play 14. Some situations you may play 15 if you're getting rid of an attached card. But again, on that level, on hit, he has really answers for anything. 16 for mitigating damage. 50 Shades of 13. Baby. Yeah, so hot. So hot. Okay, sorry, I've got a comment here. I'm making sure you on. Sorry, I'm making sure my special viewer here is watching. Sorry. I want to make sure. And you'll see the camera shake like this. Don't worry. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yep. Excellent. Sorry. Just had to give a little shout out to the doc, Savvy Angel again. Anyway, back to it. Yeah, I think the fact that he has all the on-hit abilities is what gives him that power at 1. So much flexibility. Any Android you want for any answer. John Milner, of course. Android 13 requires setup, orange, which goes against the style of A13, which you want to iter consistently with. Yeah, and I would completely agree with that, John. I would completely agree. I actually could only see him, well, maybe not only, but I think he would be pretty viable and adept just for the on-hit ability. So you stack the 2 on-hits, very minimal drill game, so that when you did level, and that's the other problem though, he levels so quickly, and you want him to level so quickly, the drillies really kind of get dead after a while, and that's why I think if you could consistently get drills out, put them on level 3, and still have an aggro hand, adept really seems to me to be the only mastery that can manage that, but that's just my opinion. Tyler asks, would you consider level 13's level 3 broken? So okay, this is the reason I play Android 13. And John Milner, who, by the way, and I'll talk about it later, is going to be a guest next week. John Milner, who is a player I respect in the highest esteem. He has been someone I talked to in Texas. I've just had a lot of conversations with him about theory crafting and decks, and he is a world-class player. He's been in Worlds, has topped in many events. He, in my opinion, if I'm going to put a top 10 list of Dragon Ball Z players, John Milner is certainly in that list. And we will have him next week for more of a live kind of Q&A session with him, and of course talking to you all. So look forward to that. Back to Tyler's question, would you consider level 13's level 3 broken? Yes. Well, pardon me, not really broken, more just funny broken. The fact that when you enter combat as Android 13, you have 2 uninterruptible actions. That by itself is amazing. There is no other MP in the game that says when I enter on you, I get 2 actions and you can't interrupt them. You can't do anything about them. You don't get a turn to respond, because the real key, especially in control matchups that are going to try to out-control Android 13, is to get out the answers, is to get out the searching maneuvers in black, is to get out stare-downs or confrontations, to get out key cards. And when you can make them skip their first action And especially leading off with this level 3 power, which says, look, I'm already making you lose 4 stages. I'm going to hit you for 7. So right off the bat, first action, I've made you lose 4 stages, and I'm going to hit you for another 7. That's 11 stages. So if I hit, you are definitely at 0. If you don't have allies out, you are at 0, and you have at least lost a life card if you're at 10 above. And that's the great thing too, it's flat stage damage, it's not dependent on AT. I think that's the other broken thing. There are so many powerful MPs right now that you don't have to worry about necessarily getting to the right attack table. You can just smack them down for 11 stages. Then after that, if it hits, all your constant ability goes away. All the people who are playing black mastery shuts off. Blue protective shuts all of them off completely, which is insanely powerful. So over the course of one action, while I'm going to still make you pass, I do all of that. And then I have another action after that. Then beyond that, on the other side, yes, indeed, I am a nerd. I'm very much a nerd, by the way. Sorry, I'm having commentary from my special guest, Miss Savvy Angel, and I'm a nerd, totally. I will admit to that. That's why I'm doing a show about Dragon Ball Z at lunchtime, because I'm a nerd. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, that's why I think the ability he has is so strong. His AT stages put him up in F bracket, the highest you can be, and just the fact that he can mitigate advantage even when you enter on me. So when you enter on me, I get first action. So having that first action, or having 2 actions that are uninterruptible, is insanely powerful. And that's why I put him at the top of the heap. Plus, he can get to level 3 faster than in any MP I know. Of course, there's Cell with Leaping Kick, there's Cell with getting on level 2 to, level up and search out a card to get Leaping Kick. But just naturally, really, without even having to have the right cards, I think that's what makes Android 13 so powerful. He doesn't really have to have the cards on him. He has built-in abilities. Level 1, if you hit, I'm going to play an Android card. It's probably going to be Android 14, and I'm gaining 3 anger. I promise I won't get distracted. Anyway, it's something that I think helps him, because at that point he's at 3 anger with level 1. And then you're going to have Android insubordination, possibly. You're going to have his named attacks. And any Android card you're going to play is going to, again, gain you another anger. I actually had a game just a while ago with Red Enraged, Android 13, another one. And in first combat I entered on him. We both got to level 3, and it was insane. John asks, do you feel Android 13 hurts as bad as Mother Nature? No, I think it hurts worse than Mother Nature, because the burn stays. Android 13, the burn. Like at Texas Regionals, when I got beat by Android 13, I was like, the burn. It's like, it's still burning. I'm out of the sun of his hate, but it still burns. I need aloe vera. Trigo says, is protective cooler viable? If so, what do you suggest? I think protective cooler is viable. However, I don't know if he's viable in this current meta. I think he could be if you built it around the fact that blue protective kind of works in tandem with cooler, with the whole idea of rejuvenating and gaining advantage from discard effects, using blue guard. But I think you could also then roll it into more of an aggro package, of course, because blue has great physical attacks that are life cards, especially things like blue head knock. You've got great anti-levels like blue takedown, blue neck beam, and then running cards like I'll dig your grave to make unpreventable damage. I think it could have a good possibility, because I still believe in cards like blue arm blast. A 2 for 5, it's a basic attack, but it still blocks the physical. And then you've got your mastery to give you a little extra protection against certain masteries, against certain matchups. My only fear is, and in how you build it, is don't build it too protective, okay? You don't want to build it too in the back pocket, sitting around waiting for them to make actions. Because decks like Red and Black Roshi, Nemekian Piccolo, they will sit in the pocket better, they will gain anger better, and they will play the slow game better than you. And then you also have the distinct disadvantage of going up against very aggressive decks. Your Brolys, your Android 13s, the decks that are going to kind of try to be combat after combat going in on you. You're going to need the defense options while still having some attack options against it. What do we say here? Yeah, John Milner, black Devious Cooler is stronger. Yes, I would agree. I would agree, because although it's tempting to look at Cooler's rejuvenation options and the possibilities he has with being able to match with the mastery. I think the control options with black, because as Miller and I have discussed before, and you even saw early on Retro, Scott Dashy posted in something he did, Black Devious is the best naked mastery of the game. Without any MP, without any, like if you just look at the card pool and the mastery, it's literally the best in the game. And for control purposes, for anger gain, which they can do just in mandatory kind of off the wall, hey, I'm not going to enter combat, black command, ditch it, shuffle. I think it does a better job, and I think that's where Cooler works better. At the Texas Regional, there was a player there, the one who would have against Tim Pateau up at the top match, top two, was playing a Black Devious Cooler, did really well with it. Who do we say here? John Miller, I nearly angered out against a blue Cooler at Texas while playing Red 13. Yeah, and that's the thing I agree with as well, and John makes a good point. I think even set 5 a little bit, but I will say set 4 and before, Blue Protective was really good at anger management. Now it still is, but I went up into a game actually just a while ago against a blue tag team Gohan, in which in one turn he had 2 blue head knocks, and I still ended up on level 3 with I think 1 to 2 anger. Like I would get to 4 anger, blue head knock, put me down to 0. I'd get back up to 3 anger, blue head knock, down to 0, and I'd get up to like 1 or 2. I mean, I would gain so much anger that it's not that it didn't work, but cards like Wallbreaker would have been much better in that situation. I mean, he was able to control my anger. He just didn't have the longevity to be able to stop it turn after turn. Because now I think the anger gain in the game, especially with what we've seen with Piccolo in Nemekian, the red deck we saw in Texas a little bit, which was the budget deck, and then we talk about Android 13 Enraged, as Milner and I will preach to the masses. The anger gain of the game is so great that the temporary interrupts, I think, are not as powerful as they used to be. So, oh yeah, Trigo, man, glad to help. So anyway, we talked a little bit about Android 13. I don't want to focus this entire stream on Android 13, even though he's my personal favorite. We kind of moved on to Cooler, so let's talk a little bit about Cooler for a second and his options in the game with the new MPs. His level 1, to me, is really lackluster. It's really neat. I mean, it's a neat effect, and I think it has good possibilities. But to me, he only starts to really ramp up when he gets to levels 2 and possibly 3. And I think that's part of the reason why I think he is not one of the most powerful personalities, because his level 1 is so, in my opinion, just decent. If he had a better level 1, I think if the effect was a little bit better, if it forced more cards out of your opponent for a guard, like Android 13's level 1 does, I would be a little bit more apt to choosing Cooler in a control matchup. The problem I have with Cooler, I think he's really good, and as John Miller talked about, he's great in Black Devious. I think the real problem stems from is there are other MPs that I think can do what Cooler would try to do better. And I was joking around with a friend. I said, you know what, if Cooler could be played in Nemekian Knowledge Piccolo, boom, like we would have the most broken, the most awesome MP. Or if he could be played in a Saiyan style, boom, again, we have the most broken MP. But right now with the options he has available to him, I just think he needs to be developed a little more, and it may turn into like an Android 20 thing. Because when Android 20 first came out, there wasn't a lot of people who really knew what to do with them. I mean, they got the basic card combos, they got Android Attack Drill, they understood his name cards, but it was only until Worlds when we started seeing a lot of the orange Android 20s come out that a lot of people really got how he worked. They figured, well, we've got the freestyle drills, put it into a mastery that works along with drills, let's see how that balances out. And I think with Cooler, once people start figuring out combos, I'm interested to see how they're going to make him a little bit different, how they're going to use his advantages, especially with rejuvenation, and pull him up to an MP that I think goes above what I feel is a very high class, but I don't think it's top tier. Personally don't. And of course, you know, I'm blabbing on here, people, which is what I do. Like seriously, you put a camera on me, I'm just gonna talk. I will not shut my mouth. You can ask pretty much anybody on here and they will testify. I don't shut my mouth. So if you got something to say, you just let us know, or if you want an opinion or you have a question, you know, you just let us know, because I will shut up to hear your questions like 24/7. As far as what I feel the rest of the meta is doing, we are still seeing Black Krillin players. Again, I'm going to reference him again. John Miller will tell you he went up against a Black Krillin player. I don't think he was not expecting it, but it was still there, and it was still very powerful. With the still use of Pesky, with the new Heroes Only cards that have come out, there are a few more options for him, and he just is still a really super powerful MP in this meta. John says a lot of people want to play Cooler aggressively, which is not the best way to utilize Cooler. He excels at being a defensive control MP. Yeah, and that's where I would agree, and that's the only issue I have with him, is because he is more of a defensive control MP. I think there are MPs that do it a little better, so I would rather use them instead. I mean, even though his named cards and regeneration are really good, Supernova is good, I don't know. And this is, of course, this is going to be something that I'm going to have to experiment with more, because Cooler has been the MP I've experimented with the least. I've talked with some people who built it, talked with Ryan, the second place player, who went up against Timpato. I mean, his deck was solid, but really what was interesting is I wasn't so impressed by necessarily the cards that were exclusive to Cooler or some new tech. It was just Black Devious being Black Devious. It's just like, oh, you run Black Defensive Burst, awesome. People run Shin Kick, amazing. Surge Technique, cool. Power Up, great. Smoothest Relic, all the basic stuff we have seen in even Black Krillin builds. The same thing just comes up into Cooler, and so it's really hard for me to say, well, Cooler's amazing, when it's really the mastery that makes him amazing. I think other MPs complement it better, but again, I'm interested to see other builds. There are always people out there who are working on it, trying to break it down and find the broken combo. So trust me, I know that pain of like looking at an MP and trying to figure out how to properly utilize it, because I tried to roll with Blue Frieza. Like when it originally came out, I was like, no man, Blue Protective Frieza, that's gonna be the best, man. You don't even know. Blue Protective Frieza, best deck ever. And nope, it wasn't the best deck ever. It was really, really bad, really bad. It was pretty terrible. Trigo asks, has Trunks taken the step to become a more legitimate choice? Yes, I definitely. Tutoring out the freestyle drill. I think his level 1 offers something the other two didn't. I mean, the original level 1 was nice, being able to rearrange cards. The evolution level 1 was, it was neat. I really wasn't overly impressed with it. I found it neat. I think this new one, though, gives him options to be a little more aggressive. You're tutoring out drills, thinning out your deck, which is always good. And his name cards are still super powerful. So I see him being utilized very well in Black. I mean, of course, a lot of you have seen what Didier has done with Black Trunks. That's his baby. And I completely respect it. I mean, he's been playing that deck out week after week. And I got a lot of respect for it because with cards like Black Discovery, with Trunks' innate ability, I think using the leveling mechanics, and of course, like a lot of people have talked about, being able to level up from level 1 to 4 with the new mechanic, with running Unleashed and stuff like that, I think really turns him into a powerhouse, because then you move from what is this kind of drill-centric level 1, and then we can get right into beats, right? We go right to level 4 and we're doing +5. And with the mastery, +6. So we're doing +1 life cards, +6 stages of damage every attack we do. So to me, I think it's really powerful. I do think, though, it takes more skill to run Trunks, because he can draw into dead hands. His MP power, besides the drill manipulation, is a little weaker, I think, against a lot of the new MPs, against some of the original MPs level 1s. So people who play the deck, I think, have to be a little more careful than they would be if they were playing one of the new MPs, personally. But yes, I do think he is much more viable. The other thing we've seen a lot, and we've heard a lot about, is Raditz. At the Texas Regionals, there was a Raditz there, and he did fairly well. We've heard of Black. We've heard of the Saiyan one, of course, Saiyan Menace Loop, which is the big thing. I think with what you're seeing with some, the ally game, I will say, has jumped up significantly here after the Set 6 meta in Regionals. You've got Gohan, of course, he's big into the allies with Tag Team. You've got Android 13, again, bringing out the allies. And then you've even got some of the other MPs like Broly and Cooler, who have their special, you've got Salsa that goes with Cooler, so there's a little bit of interaction there. So I think Raditz doing a lot of board control hate, doing a lot of milling for stages with allies, even like 2 to 3. You know, if I'm going up against a Raditz deck and I've got 2 to 3 allies out, right? I've got 14, 15, 16. I'm going to be a little less opt to keep them out, maybe, you know, especially if I see him jump on a 4. I'm going to be like, no, 3 or 4, no, I'm good. I'm just going to, I will, you know, get rid of my allies. I will somehow try to get them off the field. That's, I think, an interesting choice now with the set 6 stuff. Other stuff I've seen in the meta, Broly. Let's talk about Broly real quick. We have talked about Cooler, and we can go back to him in a second. Broly, when he originally came out, I think a lot of people saw him as a big beats deck, you know, and it just naturally made sense, right? A lot of stages, big AT table, making them lose stages when they go up in levels. So it only made sense that he would be more of a beatdown MP. And really, I think you see the classic, you know, Saiyan Mastery, right? We use the OG Saiyan Mastery, we gain angry, gain stages. But the one thing I will say is I think his potential is being unused in just beat decks. I like the beat idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the idea of having an MP who is completely aggro. I play Red Ruthless Turtles. I love Red Ruthless Turtles. I mean, Red Ruthless Turtles is essentially Broly level 4 without the banishment. And super aggro, super in your face. But I will give a warning to people who are building Broly. And this is the philosophy I took with Red Ruthless Turtles. Do not run it as just a face deck. Run it with options. With Red Ruthless Turtles, I don't just run the normal suite of cards. I run the drill package. I run cards like Red Premonition that interact with my mastery to get a styled event out of my deck. Okay, I run specific blocks in a certain way for anger lowering and anger hate and discard pile management. To be able to run a deck like that that's not just hitting in your face is what's going to win you. Because face decks, and I'm going to tell you this, are going to do decently in top 16, even getting through Swiss. But when you get to the top 16, those are the decks that you're going to see fall off rather quickly. They don't have the steam to go against control decks, especially if you're talking about Blue Protective or even Black Devious. And then once they go mid to long game, if all they have is beats, and that's the only option they have, well, then really they lose out because their advantage is burnt out early game because they've lost that kind of like early beatdown surprise. Then they get controlled, especially with Black Devious. Specific cards get banished, and life is sad. Life is sad. So with the Broly decks, I have seen a really cool variant that I played against in Texas that worked with the allies because there are Saiyan cards that actually bring allies out. And working in tandem with cards like Turtles ally, Nappa ally, which I'm telling you, like the Nappa ally in the meta in general is still insanely powerful. There are still a lot of stupid setups in the game, and having him on the field is just annoying. And of course, working him in with Turtles, working him in with Broly, so that when you got that out there, everything's doing +3 stages. Hey, you're going up against another one? Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm just being told. I'm being told by a non-geek, a really like awesome, cool non-geek, that I did a good job. So you know what? If a non-geek says I did a good job, I'm happy. So yes, thank you, Madam Savvy Angel, for watching. I very, very much appreciate it. She's the doc, as we call it. So anyway, yeah, I think being able to have that ally tech is really important because there is a lot of hate on setups with Nappa, stage damage, of course, with Turtles, and I think it brings a wider array of cards to the field. You can now run a little bit more energy attacks and be less dependent on Broly's stages. There are cards that interact with allies in Saiyan. So I would encourage you to run those kind of cards if you're running a Red Ruthless Mastery. Run cards like Red Premonition. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, pardon me. She is a geek, just not in a DBZ. I should have been specific. See, this is what happens when you don't listen. I'm going to be more specific. She is a non-DBZ geek. Geek? Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying. But anyway, that's something I think that can be brought in, that you really want to bring in those choice tech cards to go up against some of the other masteries. So, but yeah, a lot of the Brolys I saw were a very fizz beats based. We see Devious, we see Saiyan. I really only saw Old Mastery, didn't see a lot of the new one. We saw Ruthless, I think was really big because of kind of the physical beats. But again, build it wide range. Throw in those choice energy attacks. Cards like Saiyan Lob. There's a lot of great interaction with that, and I think people have not really used him to his full potential. So I'm looking forward to seeing him evolve past just a face beat deck. Other things in the meta, I'm trying to think about what I've been seeing lately. We talked about the new MPs, Android 13, Cooler. We've talked about Broly, and then we've talked about Krillin. I touched a little bit on Piccolo, but we have seen in Texas, a good friend of mine, fellow on Dragon Ball Radio, Morgan Ashire, he ran Nemekian Restored, not Restored. Yeah, Nemekian Knowledge. He ran Nemekian Knowledge Piccolo, took 5th place. And then we saw a couple of the past regionals. Some of the Nemekians have topped, and some of them done really well, hitting like in the top 20 or 15% of the meta. So I think what's happening now is we've seen a shift from anger gain to a lot of the stage hopping. That's why you see Android Armbreaker now in set 6, because people are less worried about anger necessarily in their decks and more about getting to those key stages, getting to 2, getting to 3, and so forth. So a quick warning I'll give to everybody: if you're gonna go to a regional, okay, and I'm gonna put this to you, run wall breaker. I'm not saying 20 copies, and I'm not saying each deck has to. You're running a blue protective and you got 3 head knocks and 3 neck beams and 3 takedowns for whatever reason. Like, don't worry about running it. But wall breaker, do not forget about wall breaker. It is super viable right now, especially going against old Saiyan Broly. Even though they have Unleashed, right? Even though they have a lot of leveling cards, maybe digs, anger is still a key trickle mechanic for them to continually go up in anger. Passing turns, rejuvenating cards. They're not like they're not the old Nemekian mastery, right? They still have the ability to rejuve outside of combat and gain anger. So when you're going up against them, that slow trickle anger, turn after turn, is going to be something you're going to want to manage. Wallbreaker has saved me in more than one occasion. In fact, I had a matchup just recently against Kevin Bach in which he was playing Black Devious Roshi, and I'm Android 13. He got to level 4 with 4 anger. Level 4 anger. I mean, he's a black command away. I mean, he's devastated. He's any 1 anger card away from angering out on me. I draw into Wallbreaker, I throw it on him, and through the course of a couple combats, I start knocking him down to 3 anger, to 2 anger, and I think at one point I had him maybe down to 1, maybe 2 to 1 anger. Saved me completely, because he definitely could have had opportunities past that turn to end up gaining anger and winning the game. And the other benefit is not just late game, but early game, right? You're going against Saiyan, you're going against Nemekian, Wallbreaker, early. Throw it on him. And like, I get the idea that a lot of people say, well, it doesn't stick on him a lot. Well, okay, like that's completely fine, but what you're really not getting is sticking on him for a turn. 1 turn, even just 1 turn without anything else on him, is an advantage in itself. Mitigating your opponent's advantage, especially like I've had a Wallbreaker on me as Android 13 level 1. Let me tell you how sad my day was. Super, super sad. I mean, what do? I can't, if I've already got 15 out on the field, let's just say, and it's thrown at me after 15's already been thrown on the field, it's a sad day for me. It's a really sad day for me. So, and even on later levels, level 2, level 3, well, pardon me, I won't say level 3, because I don't be mind sticking on level 3, because I just want to anger out on you, I'll just beat you down. Which, going back to why I think he's so broken on level 3, is he's like, it's like Android 13 level 3 is like Piccolo level 2, like OG Piccolo 2. It's like, oh, did you keep me on this level? No, it's cool. I'll just stay here. I'll just stay here and just like beat your face in, like. By the way, I'm gonna get a drink here. Pardon me. I'm gonna get a drink out of my Manabeast pint glass. It makes water 10 times more filtered and healthy. Yeah. And I know I'm not drinking the liquid I should be out of this, but it's midday, man. Get a life, peeps, okay? Stop drinking at like 12:30 in the afternoon. I mean, I appreciate that if you can do it, but have some control, peeps. Have some control. Good aqua. Anywho, so yeah, going on to those other MPs, we talked about Piccolo and Nemekian. Red Enraged. Really, like I said, in Android 13. One of the decks that I've seen, Red Enraged, why can't I think of his name? Master Roshi, and super legit deck. I mean, it was a fast-paced deck. It wasn't what you've seen, what you've seen from a lot of Scott Dashy's build, which is really good. You know, it's a little slower. It plays the board. It red bribes. It kind of goes in and out of combat and sets up a huge board advantage. His is still more of a real good anger gain, and the anger gain in this game right now is super strong. Yeah, John Milner, Nemekian is still strong because of his versatility, came second in Virginia. Yeah, I completely agree. And the new guard, the new energy guard that shuffles back into your deck, holy crap. I mean, that is like what back in the day, what Nemekian Flinch was for physical guards, this is for energy guards. It's absolutely insane. I net a free card, I shuffle my deck, and I gain an anger. Like, huh? What? I get the card back. I get the card back in my deck. Like that feels like a black mechanic, but it's in Nemekian. Yeah, and that's the other thing that I'm encouraging people. The anger gain in this meta is more dangerous than ever. Do not count out anger decks. Do not count them out. They used to have more problems in past sets. Wallbreaker used to be more prevalent, but I see less and less people running Wallbreaker. I see less and less people running it, and I think, like I said, that's a big mistake. And you're gonna see just rejuves. Oh yes, sorry, Milner. See, Milner's looking out for me. That's what I like about Milner. Milner's like, look, bro. I know you're blabbering on there, and I know you think you're a doorboo, but let's be real. It just rejuves. It just rejuves, man. So just go with that. Which does gain you an anger. I actually saw somebody have a really interesting interaction with it in the new mastery, in the restored mastery, in that at the end of turn, essentially if you guard with it and you don't put anything else at the bottom of your deck and you've already shuffled it, you just get it back. It's just like, oh, energy guard, energy guard, energy, like every turn, I just have an energy guard. Yeah, it doesn't net you the anger, but it's just like, woo, I have energy guards. Do you think crits are too prevalent to make use of Gohan Nemekian blue DBZ deck? Actually, I have not seen crits as much. I have not seen crits as much in this meta as I used to. Back in the day, especially in blue, people ran Blue Fear. Really the only critical decks I think you're going to see are the Red Roshis, Red Enraged Roshis, or maybe a Red Android 13. Now, those are around, I think they're prevalent, but I don't think crits are around as much. But here's what I will say. I think crits are insanely important in this meta. I've made a few changes to some of my decks, as you guys may have seen in the retro forums. I posted about Red Knee Lift because I completely forgot about the auto crit game. I think crits right now are super important, and I do think it's key to run crit cards in decks. Now, not all of them necessarily, but cards like Sagacious Strike, in my opinion, I think are super important tech choices. Cards that are going to auto crit, like I talked about, Red Knee Lift, automatic crit. I do think it's important because right now, especially like you talk about with Gohan, Nemekian, or Blue, Dragon Ball Victory decks, it is something that you're going to go against, and you're going to need to get rid of allies, because the great thing about it is, even with Icarus, destroying and banishing is one thing. Getting rid of them by crit effects is another. So what you can do now is you pop off, that Piccolo that's on the field. You pop off Chi-Chi. Just critting and critting and critting and critting helps majorly. We see Dragon Ball decks a lot with Roshi. That's super important. And then, of course, Anger Hate is extremely important as well. John Milner, Broly should probably always be running Red Inferno. Dude, completely spot on. Red Inferno is one of my favorite sleeper cards. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but that card is really stupid broke. Every time you reveal a card from your hand, you're going to deal a crit effect. And the best combo, I actually ran this combo at Texas. This really won me the game. Well, I was steamrolling the guy anyway, but this won me the game. I used Red Premonition with my mastery. I got an attack out of my discard pile. I was going to play it. I then searched my deck for a Red Inferno. Got Red Inferno. The attack was played. They had their turn. I then attached Red Inferno. Drew another attack card. Okay? So from normally what would happen with the Red Mastery, which is it would just go on bottom and I would lose a card, I not only didn't lose a card, okay, I continued to net advantage by drawing a card, putting it on for effect, getting another card for effect, which completely changed the game up for me time and time again. And then after that, every time I reveal a card, I do a crit effect. So that to me puts on constant pressure that in turn works with your mastery. So Red Inferno, Red Premonition, like that's my combo of the day. Mr. Final Max, yeah, the heavy stage damage isn't going to make a lot of crits happen. Nail could help with crit building. Yeah, Paul Berner Jr., a good friend of mine, fellow judge in the game, has a Nemekian nail deck built with his favorite Nemekian card, Nemekian backhand, or as he calls it, Nemekian bitch slap, because it's just like, just like hits you in the face all the time. Yeah, that, like, to me, that's a really cool idea. However, sadly, Nail, in my opinion, is just not the most powerful MP. Fun, just not the most powerful. Miller says, playing against Red Inferno makes me want to flip the table. LOL, it's super annoying when Red Ruthless Broly can crit twice per turn. Yeah, like that's really the thing, that crits are really powerful in this game right now. And I think a lot of people forgot about them because it was just like, we're just going to beat you down more. Like, especially in the Cell meta, set 5, post or pre-errata on Cell. Oh, dude, like all the time. It was just about like, I'm going to beat you down, beat you down, beat you down, beat you down. Get to this level, beat you down, beat you down. It just, the meta wasn't so crit-centric, except for really Red Roshi, who just generated crits all the time. So I think the meta has forgotten about it, and people have been able to run and build decks that in a set 5 meta, even like, oh, let's just say set 1-2 meta, wouldn't have survived, wouldn't have even done well, because people were geared to doing crits. So don't forget about crits, man. There's 2 things in life. You ready for this? 2 things in life you don't forget about. You don't forget about Dre, never forget about Dre, and you don't forget about crits, okay? If you do one of those 2 things, just like, be done, you're done. Because like, I don't want to hear about you forget about crits or forgetting about Dre. Because Eminem didn't, and I'm certainly not, so. I'm trying to think of other things in the meta that I've been seeing lately. Like, and we see the Dark Horse decks. I talked a little bit about Raditz. I ran my own Red Ruthless Turtles, which I thought was decent. And I'll even admit it, I think it was a cool deck. It did actually fairly well compared to the new meta. Android 13 completely destroys it. Like, I will be legit with you. Every Android 13 game I went into, I was like, all right. I'm getting spanked. My butt's gonna hurt right now. It's gonna be fun. Because Android 13 was just like, I'm sorry. Oh, you hit me for some stages? Cool. Like, you're never gonna be in an AT close to me. I know you're doing +4, but like, I got allies out that can absorb it. And I'm just gonna like smack you in the face. Or I'm gonna MPPV on you. So like, I'm sorry. You lose. Actually, let's see here, John Miller. We are definitely still in an aggro meta. This is good for control players because the majority of aggro decks will be tilted to beat other aggro decks, so control decks are strong as a result. Yeah, I agree. And that's, again, going back to what we talked about before, is why I think Black Devious is still the best style right now, because it offers up tons of control, but it still offers aggro. I mean, I can throw, Black Defensive Burst. I can throw Black Energy Web at you. I mean, I'm gonna do a physical attack that's gonna just smack you for 4 life cards right off the bat on the card itself. But if it hits, you're not doing any more physicals. So I do serious damage and I control your advantage. Energy Web, same deal. Capture, I've seen a lot of people running that, and that card has put in work. That's a card that I see some people taking in, and I think it's a smart choice. I think it's smart because no matter who you're going against, if you're going against the super aggro deck, I don't care. Every turn banishing the top card. But if you're going against the slow control deck, if you're going against those Roshis, if you're going against, the random, someone's playing Dr. Wheelo, guess what? Every turn you're going slow, I'm gaining advantage, okay? You're always going to banish that one, and it might be a key card. I mean, it's banished, it's gone. And then you start attaching multiple ones, it really can get insane. Actually, I wanted to talk, there was a friend of mine who was building a Black Devious Broly, but it was a control variant. It was beat down. I mean, like, it could do attacks, it could beat you down, but it really focused more on, using cards like Unleashed, and then it just ran like a ton of blocks. Like, it was really block heavy, and so it tried to just control your deck, tear it apart, and beat you that way. Oh yeah, Tom, totally. Yeah, Black Imitation And I know a lot of people, like, that's a card that a lot of people are on the fence about. I personally, I like the card. I'm not going to say it should be in every deck. I'm not going to say it should be in every deck. There's decks that might not have room. But in decks that can run it and can fit it, the advantage is just insane. An event with, okay, let's just get past what, I mean, it's got 3 endurance on it. All right? 3 endurance on the card printed already. So, just beyond everything, right? It's got endurance. But the fact that I can use any on-hit effect that I run in black, like we talked about, black energy web, black defensive burst, capture, I mean, black chin kick. Come on, like there are so many great hit effects in black that now, instead of worrying about them having a guard, now they have to worry about having a spear. Like, you're not just going to stop this with a physical block. You better have a spear in your hand, and if you don't, well, like, you're super duper dead. And that's what I like about the card. It's a neat check choice. And I get it. You have to be holding that card, and there's on a handcuff, but still, yeah. And I know that. I can see why people wouldn't run it, because it's really like a 2-card combo. But if you run a deck that runs a lot of on-hit cards, like we talked about before, if you run, let's just say 12 on-hit cards, okay? 12 on-hit cards, it's good. But even if you don't get that effect, the actual text of the card itself brings advantage without being able to do the on-hit effect. So is it less powerful when you don't have a combo? Yes. But when you do, I think it's a neat tech choice, especially like the Black Wheelos. You know, decks that aren't necessarily going to hit you for the damage itself, they just want to get the effect of it off, right? They're just really trying to control you, to lock you down, to freeze the board state, to put you at a disadvantage so that you can't do what you want to do to gain that momentum. And the last bit, actually, I've kind of talked about a little bit as we've gone through, just more general tips in the meta that we're in right now. I mean, I know we've covered decks, and I could probably go on and on about more dark horse decks, but I think I've covered most of them now, and I'll probably will at another time. But general tips with the meta now that we're in, let's see, Mr. Final Max, or go with a cooler variant that sticks to level 1 and filter to hand to have the on-hit. Well, exactly, yeah, because you can discard those energies, try to draw into the better card. Black Invitation plus Black Team, dude, that's a dirty combo. That's a dirty combo. John, you're a dirty person. You should feel really bad about yourself. John's one of my good friends. He knows the black matchup. He knows Black Devious. Played him in ARG last year with a Black Piccolo, and let me tell you, he made me sad, and he literally had that game. I just literally had the nut hand and won it out. Dude totally had it, and dude was legit. When it comes to black, he's one of my go-to guys, because he does dirty things like that. He does dirty things like that. It's almost illegal, bro, and you're happy about it. And look, he's laughing. You see, he says LOL. I can see it right now. He's laughing. That is just, dude, you're sick. Unacceptable and sick. But yeah, back to general help I talked about in the meta. I already talked about crits. Already talked about anger control. We talked a little bit about just controlling the state of the game. But something else I really wanted to talk about is, and I'm telling you, I have problems with this still at every tournament, and I have to remind myself. There's a friend that I play with, his name's Clayton, super great player, a Magic player, has been somebody I respect a lot. His deck theory is on point, and his play is on point, and he's always told me that the player that makes the least mistakes is usually the winner. Now, not every time somebody draws the nut hand and they're just going to beat you. Not every time. But the player who makes the least mistakes is the better player. Not necessarily the better player. I have gone up against players who are better than me, but whether it was because of pressure or the timing, they felt a little pressured, they didn't think of their moves that much, they made a few key mistakes, they didn't play optimally, and I've tried to do a better job at drawing my cards, especially like if I draw my 4 and I see my cards. There is a real key driving force that's like, go into combat, right now. And there's a lot of times that even when I know I'm going to go into combat, like say I draw the 3 cards, I'm like, oh my god, like totally going into the combat. I have to stop. I'm like, wait, okay. You know you're going into combat, right? You know you're going to go into combat. So wait a second. Let's just think of ordering here, okay? Let's think of how we want to do this. What card placement do I want to have? Let's look at their discard pile. What could they have to go against me? just, I mean, give yourself 30 seconds, okay? Give yourself that breathing room that the game allows you. I mean, they allow you to do that, okay? Not to an insane extent, but give yourself that breathing room. Think about that move you're going to do. Think about that first move, how you're going to combo it in, and the ordering and sequencing of events. All right, look at cards to make sure you're not missing triggers. I think that's a real key, and that's what defines my friend Clayton and some other top players, is they do that. They say, okay, wait a second. Let's think this through. Let's really come up and think about this before we start going into combat. I'll answer a question here real quick. Mike DeCribbett asked, do you think they will reprint spheres at some point? The price is brutal for such a staple card. I think they will. I think they will. I mean, I hope they will, because I agree with you. I think there are a lot of decks, especially going back to Black Devious. I mean, I know I've been on a broken record about Black Devious, but since it's such a good control deck, spheres are really key for a lot of decks. Again, not saying all, but a lot. And we're seeing a lot of, good events coming out, especially everyone's talking about Unleashed, which I will say I think is a little overhyped. I like Unleashed. I think it's a little overhyped. I don't see a lot of instant transmission, but even older events, stare downs, time, to me, it is a needed card in almost every deck. And because it is, like you said, the value goes up, print one is harder and harder to find of the premier set. So I would hope the Panini in future sets, maybe set 7, would make, pardon me, I'm gonna get a drink here out of my Manabeast mug. That's not a mug. Why did I say mug? That's a pint glass, dude. That's a pint glass. I don't know. Pardon me. Let's see here. Milner, spheres are not a staple. The top 2 players in Texas ran both, ran 0 spheres. I can see that. And then, of course, Bateau ran his blue tag team Gohan without them. I think part of the reason, though, that they're not as staple necessarily is because you can run cards like Surprise Attack instead, that's exactly what Bateau did. Bateau said, look, I'm not really worrying about the freestyle. I'm not worried about you banishing my allies. I'm not going to run my deck in that way where not only do I run cards that could be sphered, but I don't need to run my spheres either. I try to generate advantage in other ways. So how about I say that? I don't think they are a staple, but I think they are still a really powerful card, and I think they are still ran in a good amount of decks. But you're right. I mean, not having them as widely available makes it difficult for the general public to get them, and so the expense of paying $100 for a card is really unpalatable for a lot of people. But I think, like Milner says, you can build decks without them, and they can still be powerful. So really, depending on where the meta shifts as regionals go, and we get into Worlds, and we get into the next set, I think we will see where spheres go. I personally love them still. I run them in a lot of my decks. I still think they're super powerful. The real problem that comes with spheres is holding onto them turn after turn after turn. And then if you start going against, if you start seeing more decks that aren't running many events or aren't running as many spherable instances, you then at that point look at it and say, okay, is this something I'm really going to need to tech against? Yeah, Tom says one of the 2 was also Bateau, who hardly ran anything to sphere. John Miller says they're definitely strong, and reprinting them as ultra rares again would be good. I agree. I think the printing of them in the first set was far too low, especially for the kind of popularity we have in it. I mean, we've seen in the last few regionals there are 300 plus people in a lot of these regionals. There's, right now, if everybody is running like 2 spheres, right, and there's 300 people at a regional, that's 600 spheres right there. I mean. That's a lot of spheres. A lot of spheres. You have what, 600 grand worth of spheres in one tournament? Lot of money. And money I don't think people have really to just throw at it, especially with a new set. And I think that's where the difficulty lies. So I hope they reprint them. I mean, I really do. They did it with stare downs and confrontations. They put them in starter decks. Now, I'm not saying put them in starter decks necessarily, but make a variant of them. It's in a new set that maybe necessarily still allows the originals to hold value, although I would hope they'd go down while still making them valuable cards. I don't necessarily want the price to sink down to like $10 per sphere, well, actually, you know, I don't know if I'd mind that, really. I mean, pardon me, let me scratch that. I think it would make the game more accessible. Yeah, I know, I'd be sad that my spheres went down in value. But accessibility of this game to a wide range of people, I think, is super important. And so, yeah, it would be like in Yu-Gi-Oh! If MST, you know, was a $100 card. Riots will occur, spheres go into starters. Yeah, they will. They will. No, not in the starters, not in the starters. But like if MST, which is a really key card in Yu-Gi-Oh!, you know, went up to $100 per, then I think there'd be a lot of issues, you know. So hopefully they will. Well, anyway, it's about 12:56. We've got a few more minutes. I'm going to kind of wrap things up. Of course, if you've got any leave time, time could go in the next starter decks. Yeah, I agree. Time could go in the next starter decks. It's, you know, still a card that's used in a lot of decks and a key card. Although it was pulled a lot greater in set 1. But again, as set 1 gets less and less available and we get into new sets, I do agree that they'll start needing to reprint those basic cards. I mean, they did a great job with Evolution. You know, with the Evolution starter decks, they said, let's print all these good starter cards again that, you know, people had a hard time getting a hold of because we made them rainbow. So, yeah, I think that'd be a smart idea for them to do. Yeah, so that's really the meta update for the week. It's what I've seen so far, what I've been reading online. Of course, people who haven't watched live, post comments down below. Like, let us know what you think the meta has shifted into. As I mentioned at the first of the show, at the top, next week we're going to have John Milner, who, again, one of the top players right now in DBZ. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Mr. Finalist, just go with the promo art for starter. Dude, I love the promo. Yeah, the Time is a Warriors Tool promo art. Bomb diggity. Yeah, do that, and I'll buy like 3 or 4 or 5 starter decks with that. Totally. But yeah, join us next week at Wednesday, again at 12 p.m. We're going to have John Milner, who's one of the best players. Respect the guy to no end. And not only is he an amazing player, but he is a stupid good theory crafter. His meta calls are on point. He really thinks about decks in a different way. And every time I have a conversation with a guy, I come out with something new that I didn't know before, or with a new perspective. He was part of Worlds last year, of course, and has done a lot of great deck testing and theory. So be with us then next week. We're going to talk to him a little bit about, of course, him as a player, what decks he plays, kind of his theory, and then just kind of have a Q&A session. If you guys want to join, ask him questions, kind of get his opinions on some things. We're just going to kind of just do another chill hangout session and just talk about DBZ. And that will be next week, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I really appreciate everybody for coming out. This has been something I wanted to start up again for a while, and it seemed like everybody liked it, so now I just have to think of a name. Yeah. So if you can think of a name besides Live Weekly Wednesday DBZ Meta Discussion, which is LWWDMD, really long title. Yeah, that's all I need to do. If you think of a good title for this, let me know in the comments below. What should we call this show more than this really long, archaic discussion? Yeah, I'd love to know it. Anyway, everybody, really thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys next week, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, for more Manabeast and DBZ action. All right, all. Thanks again. We'll see you later.